Hey, fam bam.
What's up?
I hope everybody's doing good on this beautiful day.
Hope y'all having a good new year. It's 2025.
Yep.
Happy New Year to you. You know what I'm saying? This is my first video of the year. So I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody who's watching.
Yay. Let us know how you guys' New Year went. I know we did our snowing video, but we didn't really get to talk.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the snowing video.
We didn't really get to talk to everybody for real, so here we are.
The snowing video was like a work in process video. I was tired by the end of that video.
And then now we got all the snow back.
Yeah.
So,
yay, snow.
I know, right? It snowed last night, but the sun is out today, so hopefully it'll start melting things.
Make sure y'all hit that like, comment, subscribe if you ain't already subscribed, and share with somebody. Share somewhere.
Everywhere. share.
Anywhere.
Right. So today, you guys, we want to talk about what it's like using public transportation, being legally blind. So, Did you want to start or?
Now, when you say public transportation, I hope they understand that's like including flying somewhere or getting on a public city bus or
all public transportation. Yep, we done did it all. So.
I don't think I've been on the train since I've been blind. Not going nowhere, not like taking a trip anywhere, but it's probably pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been on the train before a couple times, and it's pretty much the same as, like getting on the bus.
Okay, so when you catching a city bus, it's not really as far as what because I used to catch the bus a lot when we was in Detroit, and you walk up to the bus stop just like a normal person, and when the bus pulls up, you walk into the bus like a normal person. The difference is there might be some seats that might not have been available right there in the front, but most likely people will move out of the seats because it's easier for the bus driver to remember you. You get on the bus and you tell them like, okay, I want to go to 7 Mile and Woodward. Like, for instance, we used to stay on 7 Mile and Van Dyke, which is about 5-6 miles away from where we was going. Probably longer, I don't know. However, when you get on the bus, you know what I'm saying, you pay your fare. Usually, depending on the bus, it's depends on the bus driver. Sometimes they just like, don't worry about it, just have a seat. Other than that, you pay, half of the fare, I think it is, or something like that, because you got a cane, or you visually impaired, or you have a handicap of some sort. But when you're blind, you tell the driver where you want to get off, because some buses have the over the head audible system where you can hear the stops being announced, and some of them don't. So what you want to do is you want to kind of remind the bus driver, you tell them, I want to get off at 7 Mile and Woodward. And me personally, what I like to do is I like to take the GPS route like I'm in a car. So when I get on the bus, I sit down, I pull out my phone, and I tell my GPS on my maps, I'm going to 7 Mile and Woodward. And I tell it to take the street route pretty much. And so what happens is, while I'm on the bus, my GPS is keeping up where I'm at, so I can tell pretty much when I'm getting close to 7 Mile and Woodward, so I can just remind the bus driver, like, hey, let me know when we get to that far side of 7 Mile and Woodward. And it's important that you say far side or near side, because near side will be the side you get to first. Far side will be the side you get to last when you're catching the city bus. And I'm pretty sure it's the same everywhere. And you just got to, like I said, you got to speak up and let the bus driver know, like, okay, don't forget about me in 7 Mile and Woodward, because I haven't been on the bus and they passed my stop, and next thing you know, I'm like 2 miles. 2-3 miles past my stop, like, oh man,
it's happened to me too.
The bus driver didn't forget about me, you know what I'm saying? But so you got to be a little bit more on top of it yourself, and after it happened to me, that's when I started using the GPS on my phone, So the phone let me know when I'm getting close to my destination. You've reached your destination. Okay, hey, bus driver. You can't tell the phone near side or far side, but you know when you get to the destination versus you just passing it up and then the bus driver look at you like, oh, man.
Yep, it'll happen.
That's happened to me to the point where I just had to end up calling me an Uber like, man, I'm not finna.
Yeah, because they can't just take you back. They can't just turn the bus around and take you back. So I've had times where, the bus driver will get off the bus, walk me across the street, take me to the bus stop for me to go back. If it's too far, it's too far. If it's too far to walk, they'll take you across the street and then just let the dispatch people know that, hey, it's this blind lady. She, missed her stop, and the bus need to stop and take her to her.
Or sometimes they flag down if they see an oncoming bus. They'll flag down the bus.
Flag it down and tell them.
Let them know.
To go here.
Yeah. And then you still got to hope for the same thing that you don't pass your stop for the second time.
Yes.
So that's why I started using the GPS on my phone, and it helps. Even like when I'm in an unfamiliar area, just turn on that GPS, setting it for walking mode, and just listening to it helps you find your destination. Now sometimes it might be a little hard depending on where you're going, like
and what route the bus taking.
Yeah, but for the most part, the GPS on your phone, that tool for a blind person or visually impaired person is the best tool I can recommend you use because it helps you find where you need to go. It may not help you find the bus stop, but when you're blind or visually impaired, 9 times out of 10, the bus stop is somewhere around the corner, and you just, hope there's people out there at the bus stop, and you can ask them, is this the bus stop?
Yep.
If you live in a city where they don't have like a bench or a shelter for your bus stop, but if you live in a city that have a bench or a shelter for your bus stop, then you pretty much can find it a lot easier. But there are certain parts when I lived in Detroit where it was just like, oh, it's just a pole.
Yep, it's just a pole, and you stand there. And then when you see if a bus stops, once you're there, because most people, the sighted people, if the bus is working correctly, they can see the front of the bus and it'll say 7 mile. You know what I'm saying? So you know what bus it is. But us being blind, we can't read that. Especially, so when the bus stops, you just have to say, hey, this the 7 mile, and they'll tell you yes or no.
Yeah, especially
or they'll say, oh, it's coming behind me, or whatever. They'll tell you.
When it's like a transfer spot where multiple buses on the same line area. Like depending on where you're going from, you're coming from downtown, you'd be like, oh, it's like 6-7 buses that come from right there to one spot.
Yep.
So you definitely got to ask them, like, hey, is this a 7 mile bus? Just don't hop on the bus and assume, because
it might not
you'll end up somewhere else. You definitely will end up somewhere else.
Yes, so it's happened to me before where I got on the wrong bus, but it was only because somebody that I knew was driving the bus. I got on the bus and got to talking. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, yeah, this the wrong bus. And then, after she got off of her, her line or whatever, she was getting off, then I just got in the car with her and she just drove me. But, that don't normally happen. So you do got to make sure to speak up and ask before you get on the bus, because they'll get to moving, So before you get on the bus, ask, because once you get on, they're moving. They're not waiting for you to sit down, put your change in, nothing. They just start moving. So yeah, and make sure you do sit in the front. You have to stay in the front. That's really the only way the bus driver is going to remember you, if they're trying to remember you. You got to be in that front seat. Those seats are supposed to be handicapped seats anyway. So anybody sitting there, they're supposed to get up and let you sit down.
And 9 times out of 10, the bus driver will ask someone who's sitting there, like, can you get in this seat?
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants to make sure he don't forget. But even still, like I said, they human, so they still forget even when you're sitting right there.
Yep. So, and then also, yes, I don't, I do have some sight. So if I'm in familiar places, I don't always take my cane with me if I'm in a familiar place. But when you're doing stuff like catching a bus or public transportation or in crowds and stuff, you have to make sure you take your cane. And because that's what helps people understand, okay, this person can't see. And stuff like that. So your cane, like they tell you in mobility, Your cane is like that's your mouthpiece right there that lets people know, okay, this person can't see or they might need help. Let me see if they need help. Or, people will kind of look out for you just because they see that you have a cane. So it's important. Take that thing.
And when you're traveling on like a nationwide type chain, like here in the United States, we have a chain like called Greyhound.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much you go in there and you let them know that you're gonna need some assistance. So you get assistance to the bus because you don't know where the Greyhounds. When they loading up the bus, they just pull up behind the building or in the building sometime, depending on what the station is. It's multiple buses, so you got to get some help out to the bus, and then they let the bus driver know, okay, this person's blind, and now the bus drivers, they're helping you, and so far so good. Whenever I rode on a national chain like Greyhound, the bus driver's been really helpful, and they haven't forgotten
any issues. Yeah,
they haven't forgotten about me. I usually sit either behind the bus driver or either in the first seat on the opposite side of the same side of the door.
Yeah, it's important to do that too, because then they'll see you, even on the city bus. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you're sitting right across from them, so they see you if they look over. But when you sit behind them in that seat, it's easy for them to forget about you because they don't see you.
Yeah.
So try to sit by the door if you can.
Now, see, it's a little different than that rule don't apply when you're going on like planes, though. That's the funny thing about it.
Yeah. When you go on a plane, that's a whole totally different thing. You don't get no front seat.
Just because you got to pay for that front seat on the plane. You got to pay the extra dollars for that front seat. Like, run me them dollars.
So you really got to make sure you have something that stands out for the flight attendants to remember you.
When we're catching a plane, the most scariest part about catching a plane visually impaired to me is from the moment you walk off the street. Excuse me. From the moment you walk off the street to get to whatever airline desk that you're taking, because you literally have to walk in there,
man,
and you have to hope you can find someone, maybe someone that works there, or a nice pedestrian that's like, hey, can you show me to the Delta desk or the Southwest desk? Because they don't have people just standing at the door waiting on you to come in. So that's the hardest part about catching a plane. You have to try to get to the check-in desk.
Right. Sometimes a security guard might see you and ask you. But then the crazy thing, the issue I had before was somebody asking me a question from far away, and I don't know if they're talking to me.
Yeah.
So they be done walked away somewhere,
thinking that
thinking that you just ignored them, and it's like,
I don't know you was talking to me.
Yeah, that's happened to me. That recently happened to me. So I'm like, oh man, by the time I realized they were talking to me, they had walked away. So yeah, it's tough. You got to find your desk. Then once you get there with your luggage and stuff, and it's important to get that what's the name of that service? The wheelchair service?
Handicap wheelchair assistance service, something like that. But you can call the airline in advance if you know what airline you're flying with, and let them know that you're gonna need assistance. Mm-hmm. So once you check in, they already know to call assistance. But you also can, when you get to the airport, you can just ask them for handicap services.
Yeah, when you get there and you're checking in.
What that does is they find someone who works at the station, and that person will come and take you from the desk through to TSA, through all that stuff at TSA, get you checked in with TSA, through TSA, and they'll take you from TSA to your gate. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not going to stay with you at your gate, but they do tell the person that's sitting at the gate, okay, he's blind, he's going such and such place.
If there's somebody at the gate, because sometimes there don't be nobody there at the time.
Yeah. You're right about that.
So, but when they see that cane, I have my cane sticking up in the air like, hey, it be standing up. So when they call the gate, they automatically know, okay, this person blind, so I know they need assistance. They'll come up to you and escort you onto the plane first. Now, if you see people are boarding, or if you hear people boarding, because you hear people start to line up, and nobody comes to you, then maybe you can ask somebody to assist you to go to the front of the line, because they put the handicapped people and the veterans and all of them on the plane first.
And by that time, it's usually somebody at the desk or somebody
Yes.
at the gate checking in everybody. So, but I've been in the airport where I've been sitting in the seat and I still had to like when they was like, now boarding anybody who needs a little bit more time. That's they pretty much this they say.
Yeah.
Anybody who needs more time and veterans. So I've literally had to be like, yo. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't never had to do that.
I literally had to yell out yo one time while I'm sitting there.
Normally they come up to me and be like, "Hi, ma'am, we're boarding now."
Yeah.
Let me take
Usually
you to
that's only ever happened to me once.
Oh, where you had to yell out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's messed up. But Trey, he's not scared. Trey is not scared to get.
I figured somebody gonna say it. Somebody gonna hear it. Whether it's the person that worked there or a random person gonna come up and say something like, "Hey, you need some help?" Yeah, I need some help, man. That's why I'm yelling, yo.
Shoot, he ain't afraid to yell out, "Hey, I need some help."
But once you're on your plane, the flight attendant or the flight attendant, they'll make sure you get to your proper seat, and at that point, the flight attendant will help you when you stop you exit the plane or even getting to your seat. They take you to your seat, show you where to put your bag out in the overhead if you got to check in. Sometimes they go over the little light system in the thing with you.
They'll show you what is what and where it's at.
Where the chargers is at on the plane, depending on what kind of plane you're on. They go over those things with you just so you can be identifiable. But you're not sitting in front of a plane unless you pay for it. So sometimes you might be blind and you might end up in the back of the plane. You might end up in the middle of the plane. The only place they won't set you at as a blind person in the middle of the plane is by the emergency doors. Because it's the person who assists by the emergency door's responsibility to help everybody else in the case of an emergency or water landing. But like I like to say, if you got an emergency in the sky, you already got a problem.
Yeah.
So.
But I remember one time I don't know if I was like right in front of the emergency door and the other person was either in front of me or behind me. And I heard the flight attendant ask the person, if there's an emergency, he's like, oh yeah, I got her. Like they kind of, if you around an emergency door, they will kind of alert whoever around you, like, hey, this person can't see, so can you look out for her if anything happened? That's happened to me before. So yeah, they try to accommodate you, the best way that they can. But the only thing I don't like is when you have to have when you got a layover flight. I hate layover flights.
They're the worst because you can miss your flight.
Yes.
Especially because when you land, 9 times out of 10 you gotta wait for handicapped services to show up at the side of the plane.
To get off the plane
and get you to your next gate. So when you got a tight layover, it's not good. But if you got like an hour in between your flight, that's pretty cool.
Not too bad, yeah. But I've had it where, I've been to an airport on a layover flight where they were kind of short-staffed with the people to help with the wheelchair service. And I was with somebody that had 2 people. They trying to push 2 wheelchairs and trying to get one person to their gate and then trying to get me to my gate. And when I got to my gate, they had just closed the doors. And it's like, dang, I missed my flight. But the airline is very accommodating. When things like that happen, it can be pretty scary. It was scary for me because I'm, in a state that I don't really know, and I'm by myself, and but they try to accommodate you. Like they got me a hotel. They paid for my hotel for me to stay overnight. They got me a plane for that next morning, early in the morning, and then they put me in business class.
Yeah, that's a good upgrade.
Yeah, so they try to accommodate you because they know it's not your fault. It's too bad other people who, people who don't have that service, a lot of times when they miss their plane, it's not their fault either. But they just like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to schedule you another flight. So it's messed up for, the people who don't have help like we do. But, yeah, they will accommodate you. best way that they can. So it's good to make use of these services if you can, if you need to, don't be afraid to, or don't be too proud to, because hey, if you need it, you need it. That's what it's there for. So flying is pretty okay,
It's like the bus in the sky to me.
That's how he feels. That's how it feels in the air to him, I guess. A bus in the sky. But yeah, so like worldwide transportation, that's pretty much how we handle it. That's what we go through, as far as like being on a plane, being on a Greyhound bus. I don't know, they call it something else in other states, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got different names for bus transportation.
Yeah,
because I know Greyhound is all over the place, but
the Greyhound,
they got countries.
Yeah, depending on where you're watching it from, your country might have a national bus line take you from one province or one state, however you call it, or one territory, wherever you at.
Yeah.
But Greyhound is just like the biggest one here in the United States.
Yeah.
And they changed up. They got partnerships with the other smaller ones, because some other smaller ones go places Greyhound may not go no more. So you got to take a smaller charter now to this place. And sometimes it's not, I don't know, it's weird. But I've never been on a train. How was it being on a train with a visual impairment? Is it pretty much like the plane situation?
Yeah, it pretty much is. You just don't really have like the, how you have the flight attendants that you see them going back and forth a lot and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have too much of that going on. You just sitting on the train, going from your next destination. Now, I have never been on a plane going from state to state. I've went from like Detroit to Kalamazoo or somewhere like that, but going into another state, I don't know.
Did you say plane or train? Because it's like you said plane.
Oh, I meant to say train. If I said
plane, I'm like, what you mean?
I never been on a train going to another state. So, but it's pretty nice. At least on the train, you can see a lot of stuff. You can sightsee, and it's quicker than a bus.
The only time I ever caught a train somewhere like that is when I was a kid. We caught a train from Michigan to California. It was like 2.5 days.
Dang, see, I ain't never been on a train that long.
But it's fine, because on the train you can walk around, you can stand up. You know what I'm saying?
You can.
You're not confined just being in your seat all the time. And
you got more room.
Even if you just got a standard seat in the car, you can still hop up and walk around. You can go sit in the lounge area on the train.
One time I was on the train and we had an accident, and we didn't even know. It was a car that was on the train tracks. I don't know if it was a party or something going on somewhere, and somebody had parked their car on the train tracks. I don't know if they were drunk or what was going on, but we done hit a whole car. And we didn't know. Shoot, we was just on the train trying to figure out why we stopped.
Yeah, it just
so that was weird. That was very weird. Like, we hit something? I don't know. It's like, nobody got hurt, thank God, and it wasn't no real bad situation, but it's like, man, on the train you can be in an accident and you don't even know.
And being in an accident on the train is just terrible.
Yeah, we sat there for a long time waiting for them to move everything off the tracks, and I don't know how damaged that car was, but I'm sure it had to get damaged now, because
that car was done.
Nobody was in it. Thank God for that. But yeah, traveling on the train is pretty straight. It's all right. I don't have any complaints about it.
I think traveling itself is pretty cool, whether you're on a plane or a train. I've never been on a bus for a long time, like hours. Maybe the longest is like the 4 hours.
Shoot, I've been on a bus for what, like almost 16 hours.
Now the longest bus ride I went on was when we went with the ministry to Texas from Ohio.
Oh, that bus ride, yeah.
That was a pretty long bus ride, like 18, 19 hours, something like that.
Yeah, it was.
But it was cool because
Yep, that was longer than. It wasn't as reason why it wasn't as bad to me was because we didn't have to make so many stops. You know, like when you on the Greyhound,
Yeah, they stopping different stops.
In different states, different places for people to get on and get off. But when we went with the ministry, it was like it was just us on the bus.
And see, that's how it was when we caught the train when I was younger. You caught the train from Detroit, but you stopped in all the cities along that route.
Mm-hmm.
But once you got to Chicago, you transferred over to a bigger train, and that bigger train didn't stop till they got to like certain states. They ain't stopped in every state. They stopped in like maybe 3 states before I got to California.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't been on the train that long. I was going to Detroit. From Detroit to Kalamazoo, that was just one train ride. And that was pretty straight.
I can't remember if the trains announced like the stops as they come to it.
I can't remember either.
Because if you caught a train from Detroit to Kalamazoo, I'm sure they had to stop at different cities along the way.
They did. I want to say, if I'm remembering correctly, like the conductor or whatever, he goes through the cars and say, next stop such and such. Then you go to the next car and say the same thing. It seemed like I remember that happening.
I mean, like I said, I haven't been on the trains, not going nowhere like that since I was younger. And it's interesting now.
Yeah, I was like in my early 20s the last time I caught a train. That was like 20 years ago. But yeah, so let's get into this local public transportation. We already talked about the city bus, but like we got Uber and Lyft and
that's like, it, Uber and Lyft.
Well, we used to have cabs, but people don't.
Some places still have cabs, I think.
Well, I know when I lived in North Carolina, there was one cab. There was one cab in our little city, but nobody really used it.
How lonely is that?
I know. And then the number was 666-6666. Ain't that crazy? I had to take a picture of that because I couldn't believe it. But what's your experience using Uber and Lyft, though?
It's been pretty straight as far as Uber and Lyft. I had one driver drop me off at the wrong place, like a block away from my house. Lucky for me, I knew the neighborhood. If I didn't, I would have been hit.
Dang. I had that happen to me before, too.
But for the most part, Uber and Lyft is pretty easy. And then if you get a good driver, they even help you get to your walkway or wherever you're going to, or the doorway, or whatever building you're going to. They don't just drop you off, especially if they're a good driver. Now, there are some drivers that just be like, we're here. Your place right there on the right.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying? But some drivers, they get out like, you need some help to the door? Yes. Here's the walkway right here.
Mm-hmm. I've had a good Uber driver that when I went to I was going to a hotel, that man walked me all the way in to the desk and made sure he didn't leave until somebody helped me, you know. And that was nice because that's going a little over and beyond, you know, his job. So I appreciated that. But I wanted you to kind of tell them, like, how do blind people, how is it accessible for blind people?
It's pretty accessible because the apps that you use on your phone, they work with the voiceover screen readers. So you just, pretty much you got to be able to use your screen reader, of course, but you just navigate through it with your screen reader and type in a destination to where you want to go. If you know the name of the building, you can put in the name of the building, and it'll come up that way. If it's somewhere public, or if you know the address, you put in the address, even a partial address, and they show you the matching things, and you just got to click on the right one and hit the order button. It tells you when the driver coming, and then they for example, Lyft has it where, I don't know if they still had it, they had it where you can turn on this like color thing on your phone. You can hold your phone up so when the driver's near you, the driver can see the color and then pull it right up on you. Especially in like an airport situation, like when you're outside waiting to go somewhere like away from the airport.
What color?
It's like a color. It's I don't know if it's still on there, but I know back in the day they used to have it where when you turned on the color on your phone and the whole screen turned that color, so you just wave it in the air. So when the driver pulled up, he saw the blue light and he knew that's where he was supposed to go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if they still got that or not. I had to check into see if they got that feature. I know that was something Lyft did. Uber just like it used your precise location so the driver knew somehow exactly where you was at.
Okay.
So
like with and then like just to explain a little more about it for people who have not used it before, they will tell you like the driver's name. Of course, they show a picture of the driver, but you can't see that, so that's not helpful to you. But it will tell you the name of the car, the color of the car, the license plate, and what else do it tell them? Well, of course, it'll tell you like your
make,
driver
model,
is,
color.
yeah, it'll tell you your driver is such and such minutes away.
Tell you how many minutes your driver's away. Tell you how many stars your driver got based on how many reviews. Yeah, it's pretty,
And then, so even when you walk up to the car, you can just ask them for their name, just to make sure you're getting in the right car.
Yeah, is this Uber? Are you Vashawn?
Or it's even better to just say, "What's your name?" Because in that way, because I'm myself, like me being a woman, I'm more so thinking about safety for me too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
you're right. It is better to just say, hey, "What's your name?"
Yeah, just to make sure, because you don't really know what this person looks like.
And you don't want to volunteer their name for the person.
You don't want to volunteer, yeah, for them to just say, "Oh yeah, that's me." Anybody can say that, So, and like one of my safety things that I do when I use Uber and Lyft when I'm by myself, I try to make sure, because I know like being blind or visually impaired, it can be scary because you don't know. You can't see where this person's taking you. You can't see, what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to, like, I know Tremaine, he might use this where, he can track his location or turn, like how he uses his GPS, and that way you can kind of see where the driver is going. You can tell by your phone telling you, okay, where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps. And then me, I'll be on the phone with somebody. Like I'll probably be on the phone with Trey the whole time I'm in the Uber going somewhere, because I don't really like to be by myself in a stranger's car with a stranger I don't know. So I just like safety precautions. I'm gonna be on the phone with somebody, or I'm gonna share my location. They got something on the app where you can share your location with someone, so that person can keep up with where you are as well. So it's like you by yourself, but you got somebody that's looking out for you too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be on the phone with somebody, and then that way they're like along with you, even though they're not in the car with you, but they still know what's going on. So I use that kind of as a safety precaution, because I have this thing where I think about how people can try to take advantage of you because they know you can't see. They see you with that cane, and it's like, oh, this person can't see, so hey, you don't know these people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they screen people, but at the same time, you just don't know. You never know. So it's always good to take any safety precaution that you can when using these public transportations where you're in a car with someone by yourself. Now, riding the bus and stuff is a little more safe,
mm-hmm.
but being in someone's personal car with them by yourself, that's a little more risky. So it's just good to take as much precaution as you can, just to make sure that they're taking you where they're supposed to be taking you.
And even in the Uber, sometimes I turn on the GPS just to make sure.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Because sometimes the Ubers they do stupid stuff. They take you in circles sometimes. So sometimes you gotta be like, hey man, make a left at the corner, or else you just hit. You can, what I'm saying, they get stuck going in that circle trying to follow that GPS. GPS is great.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you gotta know when to say, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
But other than that, you'll be going for a ride, getting charged the whole time.
Getting charged. So yeah, that's why it's just like, man, public transportation is good, but being blind, you gotta use wisdom and everything else. Even sighted people have to use wisdom. But by us being blind and not really being able to see, to look out for ourselves visually, we got to use whatever else we have to help us, So it's good to have these things, because having to depend on people can be a headache. Having to depend on somebody to take you somewhere and pick you up and drop you off and wait for you and all of that, it can be a headache when, hey, when I'm done with something, all I gotta do is call me a Lyft, call me an Uber, and I'm out of there. So it's very convenient. And then, but they also have like the handicap transportation.
Mm-hmm.
The
paratransit.
The paratransit transportation.
Yeah.
Which is really good, but we still got to figure ours out because by us living in a small suburb area in Columbus, we don't know like
if the paratransit comes out here, how it runs.
Yeah, like we know it comes out here, but from what I heard from someone else who's taking it, that they only come out here once in the morning and once in the evening, like during work hours. So if we have stuff we need to do during the day or after hours or whatever, then it's like we kind of hit because it runs off of the bus line. And buses are not really out here that often. We barely see buses out here. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I saw a bus living here for a whole year. So I know they don't come out here all throughout the day. I know that for sure. So, Uber and Lyft it's a good
transportation for your city.
Yeah, for your city, just in case.
It didn't used to be that expensive. Now it's pretty moderate depending on where you're going, how far you're going.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't terrible, but it does take a little bit more money to use it versus if you had a paratransit in your system. That took you to most places you go to. You could just set that up a day in advance to pay $2.50 to $4 or whatever it costs.
Yep, costs $2.50 both. Each way, $2.50 there.
In certain cities, which we should probably look and see if they got something like that here. It's like the Uber has a contract with the people where they only pay like $2 or $3 depending on how much the paratransit service is. The paratransit and Uber has a contract, so sometimes they might send you an actual Uber, and you're only paying $2 for it.
Somebody did tell me they have something like that out here.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's all kind of things that you can look into. It does take just a little bit of money here and there, but it's there. It's accessible for you to use it if you need it.
For the most part, traveling as a blind person, whether it's in your city or another state to another state, it's very much so possible to do it independently. You just gotta have patience, good orientation, mobility skills, and good communication skills, because you got to communicate with these people.
Yep, you do.
Anything else you want to add to it?
Well, no, I think that's it. I mean, we've shared our experience. If there's anything else, I'm sure we'll talk about it on another video. But yeah, I just wanted to ask if you guys could share your experiences, because our community here is for us to share with each other and encourage each other and teach each other. So let us know what other things could be out there that we may not have heard of that we can look into, or let us know what you have in your city or state or country. We'll be interested in knowing how things work out where you are. So that's it, you guys. I hope this was helpful to some people. I hope it encourages people to go ahead and get out there and don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't wait on people because, other people are living their lives and you got to live yours too. So just get out there and do it. You can do it. Like I said, forget that.
Hey,
we can do it.
It's one more thing. When traveling on a bus, like in your city, just try to reach out to your local transportation department. They can also help you plan your routes.
That's true.
And get your times of what buses you need to catch, so you know about the estimated time for the bus schedules.
Yep, that's very true. And they'll give you the information, or they got the automated system.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can talk to somebody, that'd be great.
Other than that, don't let nothing hold you back. Forget whatever it is. What'd you say? Forget that?
Yeah, forget that. They know my last video. If you didn't watch my forget that video, go watch it. It'll encourage you.
And we appreciate you for watching. And I guess we'll see you on the next video.
Yep. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and follow, and all that good, wonderful stuff. God bless you. We love you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Bye.